want to thank everybody who's been with me, my Xbox clan.
When Kobe going back to play Madison Square Garden, and he's like, hey, hook me up with dinner with Heath Ledger.
Like Russell Westbrook, that was a great feat the other day. I couldn't even tweet it out.
It's Coach Frank Vogel here, full of enthusiasm and positive energy.
Well, first of all, you don't smoke peyote.
And there was a couple games where I was at a hookah lounge. That's the truth. I wasn't smoking hookah, but I was there.
There was a time when the Israelites were wandering in the desert and all of a sudden bread came down from heaven. That's kind of what today feels like to have KCP join.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the first playoff episode of Bulls vs. Blazers of the 2020-21 season. The last time we did this, it was the bubble playoffs, but the actual playoffs are here with fans in the arenas. It's like actual playoffs now. I'm Sean Highkin, with me as always, Erik Gundersen. Oh, are we doing this?
Oh, we're doing this every year, dude. It has to happen. It doesn't matter whether it's the bubble, team by team, round by round, end of the night, it's going down. We're back. We made it through the fake season, and we're here. We did. We fucking did it. It's here.
Fake season, real playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we're at.
Fake season, real playoffs is the official top line. That's our, how ESPN and TNT will all have their whatever their line is for the NBA playoffs. Ours is fake season, real playoffs.
That's going to be the title of this episode. I'm making that as an executive decision right now.
I think that's a brilliant decision, and I totally agree with that. Wow. Last night was one of the most fun end of the regular season nights that I can remember. A whole day of it, really. And honestly, it really was the whole week. It wasn't just Sunday. Everything led up to Sunday. That was the fourth quarter of the whole week. If you imagine the whole last week of the season to be one big game, Sunday was the kind of the fourth quarter, last 5 minutes of it. And it was great. But the whole week, what the Clippers did this weekend is going to be historic. People are going to talk about that for years.
They're such an unserious franchise, man.
That was such a joke. To be a championship favorite, one of the top 5 most bet on teams to win the championship.
This is Eric's gambling corner data corner.
Yeah, but oh my god, it was hilarious, and I honestly am thankful that they did it. But it's almost I'm thankful for them in the same way that I'm thankful for the Sacramento Kings.
I just don't understand. You're supposed to be. They basically did this. I guess partly to avoid being in the bracket where they would play the 2-7 in the second round, just in case the Lakers were to get the 7 seed and then win the first round.
And also vice versa. There was another, they were concerned about potentially playing the Lakers in round 1 straight up. That was another potential concern.
Well, right. But also if you're the Clippers, if you're a team that, you clearly are championship or bust, given the way. I know Paul George has said that they're not championship or bust after 2 months after he said they are championship or bust, but that's clearly how this team is built. That's clearly, kind of what their expectation is, especially, again, Third Eye Open. We've talked about this on the Patreon before, which you can subscribe to by going to patreon.com/BullsVBlazers and signing up. But
right. Shout out to the family.
Shout out to the family. We talked about this. Kawhi Leonard is a free agent. They do, but this team is kind of championship or bust right now.
Yeah,
and if you're a team where your expectation going into the season is a title, and anything that isn't, at least getting to the finals is going to be disappointing. For them to be looking at the seeding and being we have to decide whether we want to play Dallas or Portland or Denver in the first round, and we want to tank these games against the 2 worst teams in the league in order to get the seed. That's just not the kind of behavior that an actual serious contender is going to engage in. And
the Daniel Oturu experience last night was, I was what in the world? It was Hinkie, it was Hinkie died for this. You know what I mean? This is stuff that Hinkie could not even dream of. Daniel Oturu taking 21 post-ups and just like, and facing up from the free throw line, including when the game is on the line. Like, I was just like, what? Like,
and the Thunder were trying to outdo them. Like, there was a lot of I was at the Blazers Nuggets game last night, but I had the Clippers Thunder game going on my iPad during the game. It was actually because the Blazer game was a blowout. It wasn't that interesting, so I was probably paying more attention to the games I had on the TV and on the iPad than I was actually paying attention to that game while I was there. But I was watching that game, and it was getting to the like you can maybe say, well, I don't think the Thunder need the highest lottery odds because they have 3 million other lottery picks, so they can go ahead and try to win this game. But I was watching that game. I saw like they were at the point in their tanking journey. The Thunder were that they were pulling Theo Maledon from the game because he was too good.
Yeah.
Like, that's just where the Thunder are at. Like, Moses Brown is too good. They decided that, like...
They left him in, though, and they left him in. Blazers legend, Moses Brown...
Absolutely.
Capped it off with the dunk at the end.
I think when the Thunder signed it, when the Thunder signed Moses Brown, they were hoping that they would get a lot of what he brought to the Blazers last year. Namely, remember that I don't know if you were at this game or not, but remember that game they had against Phoenix last year before the shutdown, where they put him in for 2 minutes at the end of the first half. Mm-hmm. And within those 2 minutes, it was like his guy blew by him, and then he turned the ball over, and then he like fumbled an inbound. Like, it was just like there was like within 2 minutes, it was like a Nolan Smith in 2011 level, like sequence. Legendary 2 month or 2 minute like Blazers like iconic whack fantasy sequence. I think the Thunder were hoping with Moses Brown that they would get a lot of that from them, but it turns out he's like actually good. So their tank effort was foiled, and the Clippers, I mean, the Clippers.
They lost to the Oklahoma City Blue last night. Like they did. They lost to the Oklahoma City Blue
after losing to the Rio Grande Valley Vipers the night before.
Gosh, I mean, yeah, I mean it's crazy. I mean the Thunder last night. That was so. I bet on the. I profited. Like I actually hit one of the dumbest, most extreme parlays I've ever hit in my life last night.
Yeah, break this down for Eric's gambling corner.
Okay, so I had a budget. I took some money out.
Okay,
I made some.
Are you gonna tell us? I mean, we're on the free feed, not the family.
No,
so.
yeah, I don't bet very much. Like okay. I like, and I didn't bet very much on this bet. Like I bet
we're talking like
a couple bucks because I literally a couple bucks, like $2 and change because I bet on the Cavs, and as soon as I bet on the Cavs money line because my theory in a lot of these bets was bet on the bad team. It's their last game of the season. Most likely they're going to try hard, most likely. And so I looked at the lines in the late window and I bet on the Cavs. And then when Colin Sexton he got ejected from the game, I was like, oh, the Cavs have no chance now. So I bet 20 on the Cavs. I bought the bet back. All I got was like $2 and change, but I had already bet all my other bets. And I bet like $2 and change, and I won $260 because I bet it's like an all-time like slot machine basically kind of story where it's like I literally just had this change in my gambling account because I had lost my bet, my earlier bet, and this was all that I was willing to lose. Mm-hmm. And so I just put it in there, and like it was Thunder money line, Bulls money line, Blazers alternate spread -5.5.
Okay.
Jazz, who had to win the game to secure the number 1 seed at Kings -11.5. And the last one was Thunder. Let me look at this. I got to look this up again. This is great radio, but it was Thunder.
This is Eric's gambling
Bulls.
corner.
It is Eric's gambling corner. So Thunder, Bulls, Jazz, Timberwolves. That's right, Timberwolves. Because I picked the Timberwolves money line. Again, last game of the season. They want to end it on a high note. They really had nowhere to go in the tanking odds. Oklahoma City was the one that I was a little shakier on because they actually did affect their lottery odds last night by winning. But we made it happen. We won. We lived the American dream last night. We won $260 on a $2 bet.
I love it. So the Clippers are kind of in an interesting spot now because I am not impressed with the Mavs at all. Like, I think that's going to be a pretty short series. The Clippers should handle them. Like,
dude, all bets are off for me now, bro.
The Luka coin value, I think, is pretty low right now. I'm just not. Nothing I've seen from the Mavs makes me think that's going to be.
There is a history of Rondo and Dallas and bad vibes. Just gonna throw that one out there.
That is true.
I'm not analyzing this at all from a tactical perspective about how they're going to defend Luka or the Luka KP pick and roll.
Else on the
it's just
Mavs
bad vibes, though.
I just don't think anybody else on the Mavs is good besides Luka.
I don't know, dude. But okay, maybe. But also Tim Hardaway Jr. maybe doesn't know that he's not good. Like he might, you know what I mean? Like he will, and he's good, you know. But like, you know what I mean? He doesn't know that he's not on the same level as Paul George and Kawhi. Like Tim Hardaway Jr. thinks he's the best player on the court every time he steps out there. Like he's the type of guy that like could get hot and win you some games in a series. And obviously, if you have Luka, you're gonna be in pretty much every game. I feel like I don't know. I don't think it's as, especially if everyone's healthy. Like if Kleber is healthy, and you know he's a good guy to guard PG and Kawhi. I think, you know, Luka's not great, but I don't think he's ill-equipped for those matchups either. You know what I mean? Like, I think he could guard Kawhi. Like, I don't think it's this... I just don't think it's as crazy of a matchup for them. I know that they're deep underdogs, and I know that the Clippers have gotten better, but, you know, some of the Clippers' problem, too, is, like, they're relying a lot on Serge Ibaka, who has not played recently at all. And that's concerning to me.
I think the Clippers are kind of the Philly of the West in terms of, I think they just got a really favorable. I mean, maybe you can say that they kind of accomplished what they wanted to accomplish by playing the last weekend the way that they did. But I think they should be expected to beat Dallas. And then they're going to play the winner of the 1-8, which I don't know, what if the
Lakers? It might be the Lakers. It could be the Warriors. I mean,
could be the Warriors. I think they should be able to beat the Warriors, though. I don't think the Warriors are that good.
No.
Even though I would expect them to beat the Jazz because I don't really respect the Jazz, but like.
I mean, do we want to get into some? I know this is a little jumping ahead here, but do we want to get into some play? I mean, there's only really one play-in game that we need to talk about.
Yeah, I have no strong takes about either of the East play-ins or Spurs Grizzlies.
Yeah, I mean, I guess briefly. I mean, I do have some brief takes. We'll just blow through those. Like,
all right.
Charlotte, it sucked. I mean, it just LaMelo hasn't been putting up the numbers lately. I like their team. If they could be healthier, I would like them. I would want them to be in the 8th seed to play Philly because I think that would be the most entertaining series.
No Hayward though, so
that's the problem. And it's just like Indiana has a lot of really good players, like LeVert, Brogdon, Sabonis, all these guys. Like those, they just have too many good, solid players that for me to really believe that the Hornets can beat them. Unfortunately,
is winning a couple of getting out of the play-in. And maybe winning like a game or two off of Philly in the first round. Is that redemption for Bjork?
It might be because it could be because one of those, it was total bullshit and absolutely like messed up the way they did it. But one of their big reasons was that because Nate McMillan's teams only won one game or won 3 games or something. He didn't win a series, and I guess I don't know, and really only one that had that, like the Pacers got swept multiple times was one of their the reasonings, and they shouldn't have put that in the press release, but that was one of the reasons that they made the coaching switch, and maybe winning some playoff games could save his job, because I mean that was kind of the benchmark I think coming in if he can do that.
Right. So that's that one. I mean, I guess Wizards Celtics will be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I really want the Wizards to get the Celtics out of here. The Celtics are sad.
Much more fun.
Yeah, Celtics are sad. And I don't even think I think even some, not all Celtics fans, but I think a decent portion of Celtics fans would also feel that way.
By the way, speaking of the Celtics, just a general shout out to the Riffs man.
Oh my God.
Because you and I both co-hosted his charity live stream for for Marcus Smart's foundation
Yes.
last Thursday, and I don't know the exact number, but I believe that it raised around like over $40,000.
Yes, last I checked, it was over 40,000. Yeah,
which is just an insane amount of money to raise. It was a really fun event. We had a bunch of Mike Zarin came through, Marcus Smart himself came through. There were pre-record. You and I weren't part of these, but they had interviews with Mike Gorman and Robert Parrish, and it was just
Gino Raja. There's the feed, the ATO show podcast. ATO, the letters ATO after timeout. It's
right.
An abbreviation in the NBA. They have a podcast version of the telethon type of thing that we did with all those interviews, and it's awesome. Like I listened to the podcast version over the weekend, and it was great. I mean, and I loved it, and it was super cool, and super cool for Celtics fan, like to be kind of part of that moment for Celtics fans. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a Celtics fan, but like it was cool to be, thanks to the Riffs man.
Yeah, I mean, you and I think are both in the same boat. Where just when Ryan asked us to do that, I mean,
yeah.
First of all, the Riffs man is one of our OGs on Twitter, going back like 10 years, and he's also, I believe, the only person that isn't married to you.
Yeah, that has been on
has been on this podcast as a guest. We don't really do guests on this pod, but the Riffs man has been on the pod as a guest. So that's like our relationship with the Riffs man. And when he asked us to both be a part of this, immediately I was just like, yeah, dude, whatever you need, I'm there. So
yeah, hell yeah. No, I was happy I was able to be there for part of it, and like a very small part. I mean, Riffs and Rich and Efren and everyone else that was involved did so much more to make it happen and to raise money for Marcus Smart's foundation, the Young Game Changer Foundation. So,
yeah, we just kind of showed up and just vibed.
Yeah, we were just we were invited to vibe, and we were obliged. So that was super cool. Yeah, the Celtics, it just sucks that Jalen's not there. Unfortunately, I think the Kemba Walker thing is gonna not be a thing in Boston that much longer. I don't know where they can trade him, but it just doesn't seem like that is where they are. I mean, everyone has been making the argument lately, and I'm not preaching. I don't feel like I'm breaking any news here, but it's like when you look at what they paid Kemba Walker and what Charlotte paid Terry Rozier and what each of them is doing, and how where Rozier is as a defensive player compared to Kemba, like. It does, they did kind of make the wrong bet.
I mean, I get it though. I mean, Kemba was an all-star like the first year. Like, I'm not even really saying like, oh, that was terrible. Like as soon as they did it. I mean,
nobody said that as soon as it happened. But I think now with hindsight,
right,
it seems like it turned out to be the wrong move. I think we all celebrated in the moment for the same reason you just said.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good play at the time. It just didn't work out, which it happens.
True.
So, I guess the play-in game that we actually want to talk about is Lakers Warriors. And before we get to that, while we're kind of on the Lakers topic, I have a tweet that I want to read to you. I'm sure you've seen this, but this is from @King James, aka LeBron James, who plays for the Lakers.
If you were unaware.
Yeah. So this tweet was, and this is like in the genre of, are you like, so we've talked about it before. It's one of the best tweets of all time, the kill a cow. I was told Steph Curry wasn't a good shooter tweet.
Yes.
So LeBron he did the thing where he screenshotted a tweet. It's like the same thing that like the Fat Jew or Fuck Jerry or one of those like content thief accounts does, where like they'll screenshot a tweet, but they will leave out like the handle of the person that tweeted it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a screenshot of like one of those stat muse graphics.
Yes.
Of LeBron. And LeBron did that thing with the tweet, where he screenshotted the tweet without the stat muse handle, although it does have the watermark on the picture. So I guess he was sort of given credit. And it says, most 25 points per game seasons in NBA history. 17, LeBron James. 16, nobody. 15, nobody. 14, nobody. 13, nobody. 12, Jordan, Durant, Kobe, Malone. Bron has done that in 17 straight seasons. And so LeBron posts this screenshot. And he says, since I was 19 years old, and I'm a pass first guy, always been. That's why I'm never mentioned with the greats of scoring, huh? That's perfect, because I'd rather keep it that way. Grinning emoji with teeth. Hashtag the kid from Akron with the king emoji. Hashtag SFG with the rocket emoji. Hashtag James Gang with the crown emoji. Hashtag blessed with the praying hands emoji.
Oh.
He's literally like, he's what, like third all time in scoring? And he's like, hey, people said I wasn't one of the great scorers.
Yes, he's literally third all time in scoring. We're literally talking about him scoring 25 points a game for 17 straight years.
And my man Killicow actually brought up the much less well-known follow-up tweet to the I was told Steph Curry wasn't a good shooter tweet, because when he originally tweeted it, he had that tweet, and then he had a follow-up tweet in the thread that said, my mentions are awfully quiet now that LeBron scored 20 last night. I thought he wasn't a first option. Which is literally what LeBron just did.
That is so exactly what LeBron just did. And wow, just a great take. I mean, honestly, last 24 hours from LeBron in terms of rhetoric have been masterclass level. I mean, first of all, him and Cuffs the Legend, a simultaneous attack on Nikola Jokic, because they see that Nikola Jokic is ducking them and avoiding them and pushing them into the play-in by not really trying last night against the Blazers. And it's a two-pronged approach from those two. And it was just like, oh yeah, Steph Curry's the MVP now. Like I know it's, and everyone that has said this has a valid point that it's a tactic that everyone uses, not just LeBron, when you're going up against someone to talk them up about how good they are, so that if you do lose, you don't look bad. But I do think it was also like, man, if Jokic, even though Jokic didn't make the decision, he's the best player and he's going to have to ride with the decision. He's going to have to carry the decision that the Nuggets made. But it's like, he doesn't, I think in LeBron's mind, he's not worthy of the title of MVP because he's ducking him, whereas Steph wants the challenge.
So I have a couple thoughts about this whole episode from last night with those LeBron quotes. One was, there was also an aside here where LeBron was like, yeah, Steph's not going to win it. Jokic is going to win it, but that's a different conversation as to why. Which, yeah. I get what LeBron is hinting at there, and I really hope that like Clay Travis or whoever doesn't like pick that up and run with it, because that's definitely a thing that could happen. But I don't know if I necessarily agree with LeBron that there's this great conspiracy and groundswell of movement to get Jokic the MVP. I feel like, just anecdotally, every voter that is, maybe there's like a couple who are just all in on like Jokic. Just about every voter that I've seen,
it's a pretty hard case to beat. It's just like when you just objectively look, his team is the third seed. He's played in more games than any other, potential candidate.
Right.
His stats are great. His efficiency is great. His team wins. He got better at defense. He got in better shape. He is,
they didn't fall off when Jamal Murray got hurt.
Exactly. They didn't fall off. He still kept winning. And it's like, he is the MVP. Honestly, to me, he is the MVP. But I think definitely like LeBron is also, he loves stoking that fire too of like the analytics people don't understand and all that shit that a lot of players always go to that well, when they feel like they've been, disrespected. I mean, LeBron isn't the only one.
But here's the part of it that I think is interesting. If you look at like a lot of the MVP voters that have like talked about this publicly, I mean, you go back to that famous Bontemps McMahon Windhorse podcast where they like got into a screaming match about the MVP and just kind of the way a lot of these
classic radio,
just iconic, but the way a lot of people talk about the MVP this year, everybody's conclusion seems to be, yeah, well, I'm going to vote for Jokic, and it's going to be Jokic, but, and then tries to make a case for somebody else. It seems like nobody's really excited about giving this award to Jokic this year, even though he's clearly the most deserving guy.
I mean, it's hard. Here's the problem. I think it's a fundamental issue, and it's something that does, like, our friend John Williams has pointed this out before, but I think it's very important to understand. It's like, it's hard for journalists who are, just watching the league and covering the league to be excited about Jokic when, let's be real, the excitement or enthusiasm from their fan base, however big that fan base is muted in large part because people in Denver can't even watch the guy play. Like, that's a massive if there's no like foundational excitement for people to get hyped up about, like, to me, NBA Twitter is a much more excited fan base about Jokic, like, just generally, than any Denver. Like, I just don't ever, like, it just doesn't feel,
I don't know about that.
I mean,
man.
I don't know. I mean, it just feels like it just feels like the volume of that is just, it's just not quite as loud and in volume and stuff. I think the fact that, in my view, that there's just not, I just don't think that there's, like, on the ground from my friends that live in Denver and, like, go to games, like, when they're going to the playoffs when they're going to start again. And it's like, no one cares. It was, like, easier to get Blazers tickets during Game 7, there than it was to get tickets at any game in Portland.
I don't think that MVP voters are really caring about how much interest there is in Jokic in Denver, though. Like, I don't think that's it as much as I think a lot of the people who are
But I just mean, like, the being excited part of it. Like, of course they're going to vote for him to be MVP, but they may not be excited because it's like his own city might not be doesn't feel like that excited. You know what I mean?
Well, sure, but this is where I kind of then LeBron is acting like, oh well, people are just trying to force Jokic down our throats as MVP. It's like, no, dude, people are, like, begrudgingly voting for Jokic because the case is so overwhelming.
Exactly. No, I am in agreement with you there, 100%. Like, it's, no one's, like, jumping for joy about voting for Jokic, but he is the MVP. And he might lose in the first round.
He might. And here's the other, we'll talk about that in a second. Here's the other part of the whole, like, the LeBron Steph MVP comments that I thought was interesting. He was not the only player. Like, I saw Ja tweet last night that, like, Steph is the MVP. There's no debate. And all this, like, I've seen a lot of players now coming out and saying, hey, Steph, it's definitely Steph. Steph is the MVP. It seems like Steph is sort of the player's choice for MVP, which is really interesting because if you think back 5 or 6 years ago or whatever, during the whole Warriors run when Steph actually was the MVP, a lot of players, I felt like, this is just purely anecdotal, but I felt like a lot of players sort of resented Steph.
It's not anecdotal, bro. James Harden was the player's choice MVP winner.
Yeah,
the year that Steph had the greatest, like, and he was amazing, and it was like, nah, James Harden. Like, and that was every player. I remember, like, I remember talking to multiple, and then the vote, they actually created an award for it. And
which they ran in July for some reason after, like, nobody cared about that season at all.
Yeah. And like, so yes, you're totally right. The shoe is on the other foot now with Steph. He's now, like, the player's, like, hero.
just in relation to Jokic. I think if it was, like, Embiid or LeBron or one of these other dudes, maybe.
I think if it was anybody but LeBron, I think we would be talking about it.
You mean anybody but Jokic?
No. I think if, like, let's say, like, okay, obviously we wouldn't be talking about it like this if people wouldn't be like, well, I guess we have to vote for LeBron. You know what I mean?
If LeBron hadn't sprained his ankle and missed 6 weeks, LeBron would have won MVP this year. I firmly believe that.
That's true.
Because he would have gotten the votes.
That's true.
Whether Jokic had a better case than him or not, he would have gotten the votes because he's LeBron, and people wanted to give it to LeBron after he didn't get it last year.
Yeah, and it felt like kind of a failure because he won and Giannis got bounced in the second round.
Right.
So the MVP award last year left a sour taste in people's mouth, and they don't want to have that repeat itself. But, I guess if you're making it, I just don't see, I
think people would have been more excited to vote for Embiid than they have been for Jokic. People would have been more excited to vote for Dame or Luka than they were for Jokic.
Yeah, and also it's because Jokic really also doesn't have, like, he's like a Tim Duncan type of figure. Like, he doesn't, like he is funny and has like a sense of humor, but it's very deadpan. It's very understated. It's just like he's just very low key, and
he's not in commercials and he's not quotable.
No, exactly. I mean, so like he's very like, and it's like he's very like Kawhi Tim Duncan type. Like it just he's not going to give you. So that's the other reason I think is that people aren't excited about it. It's like his game gets people excited, but he doesn't really get people hyped about anything. So yeah, I just think it's I think Steph being it's an interesting turn. And I think also I'm going to go to, I just want to talk about the play-in. And I have felt now for 3 weeks that if it was Steph versus LeBron in a 1-game scenario for the 7th seed, that the Warriors are going to win.
I can see it.
Like I have felt this for 3 weeks now. I wrote it down like the Kevin Costner character in Draft Day on a note like a couple weeks ago, like a week ago.
What did you do with the notepad?
I have it still. I have a picture of it. It says Steph beats LeBron no matter what. Just like in Draft Day. Just like in Draft Day. I wrote it down. I just like and last night when the line came live, I put money on the Warriors money line plus 230. It's down to like plus 160 now because people are coming heavy on the Warriors. I think for the same have started coming in heavier on the Warriors. I think for the same reasons that I am. And it's like, for me, and I don't run the LeBron wire anymore, but I did for a long time. And I was watching every Laker game this season. And when Anthony Davis left that game against the Nuggets and was out, something changed for this Lakers team. They started talking again about the 71-day layoff. And then obviously, the other big domino that fell was Solomon Hill diving for a loose ball and running into LeBron's ankle. But even before that, it did not feel right. Just vibes wise. It just did not feel good. Their defense was good. Their offense struggled so much. And, and they had good contributions, but like the Drummond thing didn't really work out. Even Marc Gasol at the beginning, it was like, it works kind of, but man, Dwight and JaVale were really a lot better fits. And it was there's a lot of things happening. And I just don't think that in a 1-game scenario, especially with LeBron's propensity for losing game 1, with Golden State playing at this high of a level, I think they're going to win because they're just playing at a much higher level. And Draymond, like, man, talk about the perfect dude to go against Anthony Davis at center.
I think the point that you just made was something that I was actually going to bring up. The fact that LeBron, and this is by his own admission, in a playoff series, will usually treat game 1 as kind of a feel-out game. Remember, they lose game 1 to Portland last year in the bubble. They lose, I believe they lost game 1 to Houston. To Houston as well. He kind of treats that as a feel-out game, and there's no feel-out game in his, play it in a single elimination. I mean, I guess it's not technically a single. I mean, I've seen people calling this a single elimination, and it's not.
It's a winner advances.
Right, exactly. And so there's no feel-out game. And, I think that all of these other dudes that on the Warriors, I mean, obviously Steph and Draymond kind of have this expectation and this experience of having been there before. But, like, you think Juan Toscano-Anderson cares about like what the expectations are for the Warriors and the Lakers in a game, or like Jordan Poole or any of these other dudes?
No, they're trying to get their money up. They're trying to get their endorsements up. They're trying to get more years on their contracts. This is a moment for all of those dudes, and it's like,
and they also Warriors also weren't in the bubble last year.
Facts. Also,
which is the first time the Warriors haven't been in the playoffs since even before this run began. It was like the year before, like the last Mark Jackson year, they were also in the playoffs. But so it's been like 7 or 8 years, like was the last time the Warriors weren't in the playoffs, and now they're have a chance to get back. And then
Wiggins, also, like, I'm not the first person to bring up like Wiggins, going against LeBron in a scenario after getting traded by him. Like,
oh, that's right. I didn't even think about that part.
Like, there's just a lot of things and like Jordan Poole is like playing really well, and like, obviously they don't have Clay, they don't have Iguodala. It's not the same team, and they're not. I don't think in a 7-game series would have a chance at beating the Lakers, but this is a 1-game scenario. Like, this is completely different. And it's like, and Steph Curry, like, let's not forget, like, this man started his thing in March Madness. Like, this is his thing. This is his time. Like, and he's that, I'm sorry, like, I love LeBron. He's my favorite player. I think he's GOAT. But Steph is just that dude in his life. Like, he just is. And he's going to win tomorrow. Like, it's happening.
I see the vision, and I watched their game against Memphis yesterday, and it was a pretty close game, and then Steph just decided he was going to make a bunch of threes, and then suddenly Golden State was up like 11.
Yeah.
So I see that. I think that the Lakers haven't been consistent enough, and I mean, LeBron looked pretty good last night against New Orleans health-wise.
Yeah, and I mean, to his credit, against the Pacers, LeBron did that himself. Like, against the Pacers, like, it kind of got a little close, and then LeBron scored like 8 points in a row, and it was over.
I don't think the Lakers are going to miss the playoffs. I think they're going to beat whether they play San Antonio or Memphis in the second game. They're going to get to the 8th seed. At worst, they're going to get to the 8th seed. I think they are going to beat Utah in the first round. And then I would still probably pick them over the Let's say they play the Clippers in the second round. I'd still pick them over the Clippers. Like, for all this stuff, we're talking about how the vibes are not right for the Lakers, and like they've had too short of a off season. We don't trust them. All this stuff. I still think they're going to get to the finals. I still think they're going to win the West.
You know what? I mean, they are still, I think, the second favorites to win the championship. Like, it's not like that. Like, I'm pretty sure those odds haven't changed. I'm gonna look up the championship odds right now, but I'm pretty sure they're at worst the second favorite now to win the championship behind the Nets. Like, that is, the Nets are the unassailable favorite, but it's the Lakers are number 2 at worst, I believe. Yeah,
I'm kind of out on Brooklyn too. I think that they're going to lose to Milwaukee in the second round.
I feel like I kind of was a sourdough starter on that Milwaukee dialogue.
The Vibes Council is not in great shape right now.
No, I mean they had them not playing together is not good, but I gotta say, I mean, I'm not gonna be here to say that the Vibes Council isn't in great shape, because they had the greatest play maybe that I've ever seen in my entire fucking life last night. Like, that was magic. Like, the Blake gets the loose ball behind the back to Kyrie, to Mike James off the backboard to KD. Like that is the type of shit that KD and Kyrie, like, that was the vision. You know what I'm saying? Like for all the shit that we give them about the Vibes Council, making plays like that is why they did what they did.
Sure. But are they going to be, my question with them has always been, are all three of those guys actually going to stay healthy for the whole playoffs?
I mean, that's still the ultimate question. And I believe more in Giannis than anybody else in the Eastern Conference to keep it together. And I think he's got a better mid-range game. I think he has just more answers to the questions that teams ask him in the postseason.
I have one more Lakers thing I want to get to.
Okay. Yes, of course.
So we talked on the last episode about the interview that Dennis Schroeder did in Germany, where he said that him and LeBron were the only 2 people on the Lakers that didn't go to the David Guetta concert. Mm-hmm. So Dennis Schroeder is out of the health and safety protocols now. He did an interview, and Bill Oram from The Athletic posted the video of this exchange where the Lakers, it was like him and Kyle Goon and like the Lakers beat writers were like asking him about it. And that one, he said, I was the only player that didn't get the vaccine. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to leave it at that. So, I mean, pretty clearly, LeBron or Rich or Maverick or somebody in the Clutch extended cinematic universe sat down with Dennis Schroeder and it was just like, look, dude, do you want this extension?
Or it might have been Dennis Schroeder's people also. I don't know if LeBron's people had to say anything.
But like,
I think Dennis Schroeder's people are smart enough to be like, you idiot. I'm sorry.
But the thing is, I don't know how much those people care, because he might have to fire them and go to Clutch if he really wants to get this done, as I said in the last episode.
That's true. And it might, yeah.
But yeah, the point being that Dennis Schroeder walked back the notion that LeBron didn't go to the David Guetta concert. Dennis Schroeder, though, has said he is unapologetic about not going to. He went to the Van Morrison and Eric Clapton concert.
That's right.
Did you see what Eric Clapton posted yesterday?
I did see that Eric Clapton was like, they're putting out lots of propaganda about the vaccine. It's like, fuck you.
And he was like, I got the vaccine, the AstraZeneca vaccine, and now my arms are frozen and I can't play guitar anymore.
What?
Did you not see this?
I didn't see the whole story. I just saw like I just saw some tweets. I didn't click through anything.
I'm gonna pull this up because this is like truly incredible. I know this is Eric Clapton corner.
Of course, no, this is fine. I mean, this can easily tie back to the NBA given the Dennis Schroeder conversation. And
I'm gonna find this.
Yeah,
I saw it on Rolling Stone, so I'm gonna try to find there. Oh, here we go. I'm gonna find this.
Yeah, no, but
I took the first jab of AstraZeneca and straight away had severe reactions which lasted 10 days. I recovered eventually and was told it would be 12 weeks before the second one. Mm-hmm. About 6 weeks later, I was offered the second and took the second AstraZeneca shot, but with a little more knowledge of the dangers. Needless to say, the reactions were disastrous. My hands and feet were either frozen or numb and burning, and I was pretty much useless for 2 weeks. I feared I would never play again. I suffer with peripheral neuropathy and should never have gone near the needle. But the propaganda said the vaccine was safe for everyone.
Oh my God.
So it's like, okay, he had these pre-existing conditions where like and he's also like 80 and has done like heroin a bunch of times. Like for a bunch of years, he was, I don't think it's the vaccine that caused this.
Yeah, I think it might be some underlying issues, maybe that.
Just a little bit.
Yeah,
but yeah, the Van Morrison and Eric Clapton concert is where you go if you aren't a David Guetta fan.
Mm-hmm.
But by the way, I saw did you see Woj's big like report about like how the NBA is getting back to their financial footing?
No, I did not read that story. But
I read it.
No. I mean, this is important.
The newsworthy part, I mean, a lot of it is just about like revenue sharing and shit like that.
Really ownership shit.
Yeah,
that no one
that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but Woj said league sources tell ESPN that 75% of players have gone to the David Guetta concert.
That's really encouraging.
So that's good.
Yeah, I mean, of course we would like it to be a much higher percentage, but considering that the rest of the country is not really going, not necessarily. I mean, we're doing really good, but there's a significant portion of our country that's also not going to the David Guetta concert when they should be going to the David Guetta concert, and that is, reflect. So it's reflective of a bigger issue.
Yeah. So you want to talk about the Blazers Nuggets series?
I do. Because Portland is the bracket. Could not have broken out potentially any better for them, given the very basic breakdown of this series. Obviously, they have Jokic, but they do not have Gary Harris. They do not have Torrey Craig, who are two guys that were really key in defending Dame and CJ, or they don't have Malik Beasley, who is another guy. Those three guys were all kind of important players for them, and they all kind of served the purpose of matching up with Dame and CJ. And I mean, Campazzo is good. I'm not here to be shitting on Campazzo. Like, Campazzo is a good player and
too small to guard either of them.
But too small. Like it's so, and like he can stand his ground. He's strong. He can stay in front of them, but CJ can raise up on him, and Dame can also as well. Like, I think we might start seeing some like Dame and CJ, we've seen it a little bit from Dame, but we might see it more in the postseason, like working in the post, like old school, like 90s style guard play from them that, we normally see them playing out on the perimeter. And I think obviously that's their bread and butter and that's what they always should be doing. But I think, we might see some things where Nurk is passing the ball into them in the post and they're going to work on Campazzo. And like, if they can take advantage of that matchup, I mean, that's major. Cause obviously, Jokic is going to do what he's going to do. And Michael Porter Jr. is a good shooter and he's going to score too. Like, but if you can just, I think with Covington and Nurkic in there and Norm, the defense has been way better. And I think they have the right kind of mix of guys to not stop Jokic and Porter, but, you know, I think they have a little bit more there. And then I think, you know, because you're also for Denver, then if Jokic and Porter aren't shooting, who's shooting for them on the outside in big moments?
So Jason Quick posted the Blazers' final stats and rankings for the season.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, they were second, and this is all, you know, per 100 possessions. They were second in the league in offense and 29th in defense. That's overall for the season, which sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
Since the All-Star break, they were 26th in defense and first in offense, which is still not great. Since the Nurkic and Powell lineup, in which they went 16 and 12, which is, you know, that's 28 games. That's, you know, that's like not quite half the season, but, you know, not far off from half the season.
Yeah.
First in offense, third in net rating, 21st in defense. 21st in defense is still not like great, but that's a hell of a lot better than 29th.
Yeah, well, and today at the end of the season, ESPN's Kurt Goldsberry dropped one of his little charts, and for the last 15 games of the season, Portland number 1 in offense, number 18 in defense, number 2 net rating behind only the Jazz, who have the best record in the league. So
it just comes down to how much do we believe in peaking at the right time, and how much do we believe in, like, actually the full season is really more of an indicator when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to think about all those things and also consider the matchup. Like, I mean, the matchups always matter more now. And obviously, you know, I mean, Porter is really good, but, you know, I'm glad to be. I'd rather have a wing matchup against him than against Kawhi and Paul George. As hot as Porter has been lately, I might eat my words, but I mean, he's been really good. But you know, the playoffs are a different beast, and you know, having the onus to create and make the right decision on every play. If you know, at times if he's gonna have to carry the Jokic non-Jokic minutes or what have you, Monty Morris is going to need to have a big series for them when he is really good.
And he's had injuries lately too, though.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if Will Barton, like, what his health status is going to be.
Yeah, we don't know about Will, and you know, he was a guy that they were having in and out of the lineup. He was a starter for them for a while, and then you know, they had Gary Harris in there and Beasley and all these guys over the course of the last few years. But I do really think they're going to miss. Like, you know, nobody guards people just one-on-one. Obviously, it's all about team defense. But when it does get to ISOs in the playoffs, it just does every time. And it's going to end there a lot. And I just don't know that Denver's going to have the guys to stop Dame and CJ. And I believe, oddly enough, right now even though Portland's 29th in defense, I believe in this current group and the way that they're playing and their team defense more than I believe in Denver's in terms of getting the needed amount of stops to win the series. I think,
and not having Jamal Murray also, you talk about it like everything coming down to ISOs in the playoffs. If Denver had Jamal Murray, then you could say, well, no, Denver doesn't have anybody to stop Dame and CJ, but you don't have it. But Portland also doesn't have anybody to stop Murray and Michael Porter. But you take Murray out of the equation now; it's totally different.
Yeah, and also it's like Portland has Norm now, and they have Nurk this time. Like, we have to also remember, like, Zach Collins and Myers Leonard were getting tons of minutes for that Blazers team, and I mean, obviously Porter is a wrinkle that they did not have in 2019, but they also are lacking a lot of things that have them match up really well against Portland in the past, and cause problems for the Blazers in the past. And conversely, some of the issues that Portland had with regards to not being able to always create good shots when they would double Dame or CJ, or they double, like, now they have Nurkic and they have Norm, two guys that can create, and they have Carmelo. Like, they have,
yeah, the Carmelo going back to the playing in the playoffs against Denver thing is a whole other angle of this that I haven't even we haven't even really talked about.
No,
yet.
I know
That's going to be a whole thing.
I know. I am a little worried that maybe game one he might get a little too excited, but after that I think he will settle in. But I'm
staying mellow.
Yeah, he will stay mellow, no doubt. But I think he might be a little excited. But who knows? I mean, it is Melo always rises up when the lights are bright. Like, I mean, even though they were totally overmatched last year against the Lakers, like he busted his ass on defense and like really gave a shit. And so I expect nothing less from Melo in this series. And it's like, again, another aspect of losing Murray is that you got to bump Monty Morris up to the starting lineup, and then that ends up eating the bench for the Nuggets. And like, if you have Melo and Cantor, or Melo and whomever is in the rotation, or Cantor and whomever, like they'll figure it out. And I think Stotts has started to get a really good rhythm with the rotation. I mean, he has basically taken Derrick Jones Jr. out of the rotation completely, and goes with Anthony Simons a lot. And I think Simons is another guy who it's like, if Simons is playing like this, the Nuggets don't have an answer for that off the bench now, because Monty Morris is thrusted into the starting lineup. And it's like the Murray thing, it's such a foundational loss that I think it's just going to be, there's too many things for them to overcome against this Blazers team, the way that they are playing.
Yeah, so this is, I mean, I think things probably shook out. I will say I'm not excited at all for 2 weeks of relitigating the 2019
series,
playoff series. I'm already starting to see that, like, on both team Twitters. Like, I see, like Blazers fans and Nuggets like fans and media like going back and forth about.
Well, I'm already also just projecting the immediate defense that people will play when the Blazers do win this series. Like I'm going to bet on it. I'm going to bet on Portland winning this series. And like, I might be wrong, but like my vision here, thinking that they are going to win, is as soon as it happens, everyone's going to be like, well, Murray was hurt. Blazers suck. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it'll just be like another fake series. Cause like, I mean, listen, Portland, but that's also the playoffs. Like, it just happened. No other team has to ever apologize for all the injuries that happen against them in the playoffs, except for Portland. Like, it's like, I don't get that part. It's like, all right, well, I get, Blake and CP got hurt. Yeah, they did. But like, Portland still had to win the series. It wasn't like they just like rolled over. And I
will say Neil misread that whole thing.
That run. Oh, he misread that whole run for sure. But like, that has nothing to do with Dame and CJ. Like, and that's what it always ends up being, is it always ends up being some referendum that Dame and CJ are like not a real superstar tandem or not a real star tandem. And it's like, and I think that is, I'm just already seeing it. Like, especially if they if they beat them without Murray, like either like Portland's in almost like they got the best matchup, and I don't really think they give a shit about what people think. But in terms of like the whole like narrative, like I just want Blazer fans to prepare yourselves. Like, just, be prepared for no one to really give you any credit for this. And I think, and I think there's also a big sect of Blazer fans too that are like, we should win this shit. Like, it should not be a, pat yourself on the back if they beat Denver, because
the Blazer fans that I'm seeing are not treating them as underdogs.
No. And I think that's another aspect of it too, is that like, on all sides of this Blazers thing is like, everyone's expecting them to show up now, because they have, for the first time in the Damian Lillard, since since they lost to the Pelicans, this is the first time that they've had no excuses.
Yeah. And then on the other side of the narrative thing, Blazers win this series, Jokic's MVP is invalidated. That's gonna be how that
terrible.
Is. And we're gonna have like Denver fans are gonna have to deal with that.
Yeah, so Denver play defense against that as well. Like, it's just gonna happen.
There's just a lot of defensiveness, I think, on both sides about just kind of how this is all gonna go. And I'm really just not looking forward. I was hoping,
but that's the good stuff too. But that's the good stuff too, man. Like, that's what rivalries are about, though. It's like to have that history and to almost have that like.
This
feeling
is such a whack rivalry, though. Like, it feels so forced. I don't know.
I mean, it's
and like people on both sides trying to push,
but it's not forced if it happens in the playoffs, bro. Like, that's, I think, the rule is like, and it's good, dude. And like, I mean, there was a lot of beef in that series. Like, guys are gone now, but like Evan Turner choking Torrey Craig and Seth Curry calling the Nuggets a bunch of sassy front runners. Like, I mean, there's some shit there, man. Like
the other thing I'm a little bit annoyed by is like people trying to pit Nurkic and Jokic against each other, and
they're friends.
You ask either one of them about it, it's like, no, we're cool, we're good.
Yeah, no, and that's listen. I don't think. I mean, I think there's definitely a sect of Blazer fans because there's always a sect of fandom that probably believe anything. But I mean, I think most Blazer fans are like, damn, Jokic is fucking really good. We're like super scared of him.
I don't think.
Although
it was kind of embarrassing last night seeing some Blazers fans like taking a victory lap about last night's game. Like, oh my god, look at Nurkic just outplaying Jokic, and like, wow, the Blazers are totally locked in. It's like, you guys know that the Denver was like not even trying to win that game.
Yeah, no, I know, and I mean, I do think though, like especially, I mean, you and I were both there during the 2019 series, at every game, at least in Portland, and there's an immense, like fear and respect of Jokic, like that's like on a LeBron level, I think, for Blazer fans. Like they just like, they respect the shit out of him because he just like, I mean, he did almost single-handedly beat them, like, and Murray as well. Like, I mean, Murray was so good in some of those games, and he just never stopped. I mean, he just always just kept going, and obviously, and then into the next playoff season, he got even better. But
breaking news,
yeah. What's up?
I have some breaking news.
Breaking news. What's up?
I just got the email.
Okay.
From League PR. For the final month of May of the season, they have announced the winners of the Eastern and Western Conference Coaches of the Month.
Okay.
And it is a difficult scene for the teams.
The teens?
Man.
Oh, dude, no, the teens. Oh, wow. Shout out to Terry.
You are hating.
The children. Oh, God.
The children are. I mean, it was a good week for the kids because they just lowered the age of going to the David Guetta concert to 12 or whatever.
Yeah.
So it was just a
good
really
for them,
good,
yeah.
Man. And by the way, another tough scene for some people, the Eastern Conference Coach of the Month, the 6-3 record.
Oh.
Tom Thibodeau.
Oh, we were that and Coach McMillan. I think we were both. It's going to be it's not going to be hard for me because I'm going to be rooting for the Knicks because I want the Knicks. I want the Knicks to go far, but I would not be surprised at all if the Hawks beat them. I mean, the Hawks.
Oh, I think New York's got that.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe that in the end they will win. Just because I think I just believe that they have more guys that are more experienced. Although, I am glad that Lou Will didn't get sent to Siberia. You know what I mean? Like, I'm glad that he's going to get some moments at MS. Like, hey, what better time to be Lou Will than to be in a series against New York at MSG? Like, not bad. It worked out well for Lou Will, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm also so excited. Did you see JD and the Straight Shot frontman James Dolan did his press conference today?
I saw snippets of it, but I did not, like, again, that's one of those things I wasn't going to go too deep on it because I just like, I don't really care what JD says right now.
But he did say, and I think this is actually relevant. He said, I'm trying to find this quote. This is from Vork. James Dolan says he's hoping to have more than 13,000 fans in MSG for the playoffs for the Knicks games under New York's guidance of vaccinated fans sitting shoulder to shoulder and tells people to get vaccinated. So JD and the Straight Shot and David Guetta collab is happening, first of all, but more importantly, like not 100% full, but an over half full MSG during the playoffs. It's going to be incredible.
An incredible vibe. Obviously I can't afford to buy a ticket to MSG, but I want to buy, I would totally do it. It's that is it's like something that I would think about if I could. And so like, because it would just be like, it's going to be such an incredible vibe. Also, like, hey, I'm not his biggest fan, but, and I've hated on him for a while, but I will say, it's pretty storybook kind of, situation for Trae Young to have his first NBA playoff game at Madison Square Garden. And I think last time I remember that happening, I think it was Vince Carter that happened. His first playoff game was at Madison Square Garden against the Knicks. And so
I am pretty excited for Trae Young to talk about how much he loves playing at MSG and that to become a thing.
Oh.
Because that is 100% happening.
Oh, he's going to have a big game in one of the first 2 games. And then it's going to be like, it's going to be on.
We're going to get the Berman of the Post column. Did you see that he's already pivoted to Jaren Jackson as like the Knicks' next target?
Well, it seems like everyone's pivoting to Jaren Jackson lately. It seems like I was listening to the Bill Simmons and Russillo, and he was putting out a Warriors James Wiseman, send him to Memphis to go back home. and his reasoning was that to start the clock over with Jaren Jackson Jr. because they don't want to pay him. Which, first of all, I'm just gonna say Memphis ain't that dumb. Like that, I don't think that's gonna happen. I think Wiseman's good, but Jaren Jackson has been injured, but they're not. I don't think they're giving up on him like that for Wiseman, especially after what we saw this season.
Well, they're saving the James Wiseman trade chip for when Karl Anthony Towns is available, or when Giannis still wants a trade. Apparently, is according to what they're probably thinking is going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
they're not going to do that on Jaren Jackson, who also can't stay healthy.
Yeah, no, I know. Listen, if you're them though, you could convince yourself like we got Steph healthy, maybe we can get Jaren Jackson healthy. You know what I mean? I see that. I see it totally.
But they let their trainer walk to Atlanta though, Chelsea Lane.
Yeah, but they might have kept some best practices and processes. I don't know, yes, she went to Atlanta, but they might have had one of her disciples or something working there. You know what I mean? I don't know anything about I'm just guessing. Steph has been relatively healthy. He hasn't had any lower extremity injuries for a long time. I mean, he took a sabbatical last year. And Draymond, if nothing else, has gotten in way better shape. I mean, his jumper has gotten bad, but every year that he's been in the league, he seems to be in better shape. I don't know. Seems like the Warriors are doing something right.
Yeah, maybe. That's just a funny, it is funny, how early the clock starts on a lot of this, which of these stars is going to go to a big market, but also somebody like Jaren Jackson, who I think he's a good, promising young player, but that's not somebody that you are oh yeah, we really need to go get that guy. He's not on that level. It's not. This isn't the same thing as oh well, the Knicks are circling in case Dame decides he wants out.
Yeah. No, I know.
It's not that you immediately once the Dame thing wasn't going to happen, you immediately pivot to Jaren Jackson. That's a little bit of a downgrade there.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but I also Jaren, you get when you watch Jaren Jackson, you get it. You know what I mean?
No, he's really good. He's just never healthy.
Right. But it's,
he also still fouls 5 times a minute or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's obviously, it's all about the tools, and also I guess, convincing yourself that with the extra spacing that he would get playing with Steph and a passer like Steph and Clay, in theory, I get it for them. But I just don't, I think Memphis has a lot more invested in him, and I think that they believe in him a little bit more than wanting to get rid of him. And I think when you see what I didn't get to, because I was traveling during that time. We were driving, so I didn't get to see all of that Golden State game. I only got to see parts of it, but some of the parts I did see was that they were really not respecting Ja's jumper, and it's you have to have someone space the floor, and Jackson does do that when he plays.
Yeah, I think it's pretty silly that they're talking about where is he going to get traded to?
Yeah, and also just how fast Warriors fans have just totally been all right, James Wiseman sucks. Let's done.
Trade him for another team's good young player.
Yeah, exactly. Even though he's 19 and just they didn't obviously it's hard to argue with what Steve Kerr did, because it helped them get into the playoffs, and their numbers and their record when James Wiseman was playing was not good. So, especially now that they are in the 8th seed and with a chance to get to 7, that's a good matchup for Phoenix. That's or a tough one. I mean, it's it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be fun for Chris Paul to chase Steph around again. I don't think he wants to do that. So I mean, that could be a great series too. I mean, I mean, you have Steph and LeBron potentially playing against the top 2 seeds. Like, that's just crazy to me. And on the other side, I'm looking at the East. We could have. I want Brooklyn, Washington. I am a little bummed though about Bradley Beal. He seems hurt.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's all the way there with him, but I don't know. Russ could still get the Celtics out of there.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I think he could. So, and they have some other really good players too. I mean, they have Bertans has been playing well. They have Lopez, who's really experienced. They've been playing really good defense when Daniel Gafford has been on the floor. Obviously the 3-6 series in both conferences really is a revenge. Potential revenge scenarios for both teams. Obviously, Denver losing to Portland in 2019 and now facing off, and then Milwaukee last year against Miami, going out in 5. A chance to kind of wash that bad taste out of their mouth from the bubble. And like, that's the type of win too that like it's obviously is a win, and that's supersedes anything else. But like, psychologically for Milwaukee to get over that hurdle could be like one of those things that like they would go into Brooklyn and be like, oh yeah, fuck these guys. We're going to just kick the shit out of them. Like, you know what I mean? Like they wouldn't kick the shit out of them, but like, we can beat these guys. And I think they could, like, obviously looking too far ahead, but if all things are equal and are what they are right now, like, and it's Milwaukee, Brooklyn, I would probably pick Milwaukee.
I am so happy, just as an aside, that Giannis signed the extension.
Yes. I mean, we say this that's almost like a shout out to the family at this point. Like, yeah, shout out to Giannis for signing the extension. I feel like we say it every 2 episodes.
Shout out to Giannis's family for not wanting to leave Milwaukee so that we don't have to talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. Big shout outs. Like, that is so massive, because it just makes this whole thing all just more about the matchups and the games and what's happening. We talked briefly about Clippers, Mavs, and we really can't talk about anything else because we just don't know about the 1-8 and the 2-7 yet. I mean, we briefly talked about them in both conferences, but we really can't get too deep into them at all. Is there anything? I mean, I didn't watch the Hall of Fame yet.
I didn't either.
I'm
happy that Chris Webber is finally getting in. I think it's ridiculous that he wasn't already in.
Yeah, that was insane.
I'm glad Ben Wallace is getting in.
Yeah, Chris Webber should have been first ballot.
Yeah, I agree.
Like that,
when you factor in college career and NBA career, like, yeah,
100%. I mean, he was. I mean, yeah. Also, his role in forcing Larry Bird to retire.
Yeah.
Like that's iconic.
Ben Wallace too. Happy for him.
Yes.
Chris Bosh.
Yeah. Don't listen to the haters, the Ben Wallace haters, the Ben Wallace disrespecters.
He's one of the most dominant defensive players of his generation.
He was him and Chauncey Billups, I think, were the 2 anchors.
Chauncey, future Blazers head coach Chauncey, as Neil Olshey calls him.
Yeah. Ben Wallace and Chauncey were like the 2 anchors of a team that went to the Eastern Conference Finals 4 years in a row and went there and they went to the finals, I think, twice, and they won one championship, beating the Shaq and Kobe Lakers.
Right.
Like, that's like, when you talk about Shaq and Kobe, like that's what everyone talks about is like icons of an era. And it's like, you're not going to give one of the only the only team that played them in the NBA finals and beat them. You're not going to include them, or like they're like the heart and soul of that team that formed that.
Nobody else from that team is in the Hall of Fame. Chauncey isn't in the Hall of Fame. I think he should be, but he's not. Like, Rip Hamilton's never going to get in the Hall of Fame. Like, Tayshaun Prince. Like, none of those other... Actually, I mean, Sheed probably should, but I don't know.
Yeah, Sheed has a real case. Chauncey, just like, his early career wasn't good enough, I think. Well, I
think the Finals MVP should get him in.
Yeah, he should be. I mean, especially also just like... really also, like, he was like an early, like, obviously we talked about it, the Olshey comments about Chauncey and Dame, but like his pull-up 3 was really one of the early, guys that was like his finishing move was the pull-up 3-pointer. Like that was his go-to move. And and obviously a lot of it too was like he would get guys to foul him and he would and go to the line, but he was one of the kind of the pioneers of like, the pull-up three and doing it off the dribble. Like obviously Reggie Miller did that occasionally, but he was really more of an off the ball movement guy. And a lot of the 3-point shooters of the day were, and he was kind of one of the first guys that was like, oh, we're pulling up with this. And he won a finals MVP. Like, yeah, you're right. I mean, Chauncey, I think definitely has a Hall of Fame case, but yeah, Hamilton does not. And Rashid, I just,
just for the vibes, he should be in the Hall.
Yeah, for the vibe, and also just like what he did for, like, I mean, he formed like the way we talked about basketball for like 25, 30 years. Like, like it's like he's never been on TV, but he has like a Barkley-esque type of like impact on the way we talk about basketball.
Several phrases that were his phrases, "Ball don't lie" and "Both teams played hard" are just iconic.
Yeah, and I think just for that alone, he's MVP worth. Also, I felt like I didn't hear the whole speech, but I felt like KG was campaigning a little bit for Rashid when
I could see it
when he was talking about how Tim Duncan, and he said, "I want to thank you and Rashid for always pushing me to a new level." So I like shout out to KG for campaigning for. I mean, I have a Rashid Wallace portrait in my home. So
I remember when you got that.
Yeah,
was this the one that somebody gave you as a wedding present? Because I remember this one.
No. The one that I got as a wedding present is Dame waving.
That's right.
Goodbye.
I remember you got that at your like reception.
Yes, that's my homie Matt Cox got that.
Yeah.
Got that for me. I have a when we went a long time ago. Our friend Anand Pandian had
our mutual homie.
Our mutual homie. He set up an art exhibit in the Before Times for Blazers themed art and NBA themed art, really. But it was
pretty sure I went to this.
Yes, yeah, no, I think you did too. And I saw the Rashid one and had all these different, and I got another one too that it was like more Portland themed. Okay. That is not as like it's like just like Portland and basketball. It's less like Blazery or player centric, but. Yeah, no, I mean, I loved KG campaigning a little bit for Sheed, and Sheed was amazing. He was the best defensive player on those Blazers teams, and was really the anchor, obviously, and also just like when Portland needed a shot in those big games, oftentimes it was Rashid fading away in the corner, with that fadeaway jumper that nobody could guard. So. He was really a prototypical, like Anthony Davis type of like guy, where it's like you just can't, or like LaMarcus Aldridge, type of guy.
I have a couple of Top Shot things.
I saw that they're being sued.
Well, right, I saw that, and I have my buddy who's both the Top Shot enthusiast and a like legal expert says that he thinks, and it's actually a lawyer. He says that he thinks that suit is probably going to get thrown out. But one, I think I might actually be out soon.
Yeah,
because I got the pack last week, the pre-order pack, and all three of the moments that I got, the low ask was $3, which means if I sold them at low ask, they take out the commission.
You're losing money.
So I'm actually like, it's getting to the point where you're not even like guaranteed to make back your money on your pack.
Yeah.
I'm getting the one that's coming out this Friday.
RIP to those days of the pyramid scheme.
Yeah. So I'm getting the one that comes out this Friday, but then I think after that I have like $120 or something in my balance. I might just cash out and be done with it at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sweating any drops. If I get them and I'm around, I'm gonna I'll do it probably. But it is really stupid.
Whatever. We got our.
I got some cash out of it. So like whatever. I don't know.
I paid for like half of my LASIK with Top Shot money.
See, that's major. I mean, I didn't come. So I didn't come close to doing that well in the pyramid scheme. So I can't. Shout out to you. I did land a LeBron the other day.
Nice. Not one of like the expensive ones.
No, I just got but any LeBron is worthwhile having because people will pay good, decent chunk of money because it's LeBron.
So my other Top Shot thing, do you remember the week that like it really blew up where it was like my story and the Windy story both came out? And then somebody put out a website called NBA Low Shot, which looked like it was just like a parody of Top Shot, where it was like the Nick Young.
The Nick Young meme.
The Nick Young meme, like the J.R. Smith for getting the score. And it was all for free, but they were dropping these free NFTs of like the bad ones, like the bad moments. And it was just like, oh, that's cute. That's kind of a funny like parody that somebody did of Top Shot. That's kind of cool.
I already see where this is going.
What if I told you this, and this is from the I saw this a couple weeks ago, and I was going to bring it up on the last episode, but we just didn't get to do it. What if I told you that NBA Low Shot, this is from an article on The Athletic. This is a tweet from noted crypto enthusiast and Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban, who says, "It's time. I was tired of NBA Top Shot dominating. That is over. Announcing NBA Low Shot. Own moments in NBA history that everyone remembers at a price you can finally afford. Sorry at Roham, at like a bunch of these dudes, at Boardroom, and all your investors. Can't say I didn't warn you." And now NBA Low Shot falls under MCX, which is Mark Cuban Experiments, that was formed last year to explore Mark Cuban's vision as an experiment engine purpose-built to create culturally compelling ideas that break the mold. MCX blends genres, spheres, fandoms, designed for maximum hype and never stopping to push the boundaries, according to information provided by MCX. So the Top Shot parody website is now like a thing that Mark Cuban is investing in.
Wow, shout out to those guys. I mean, I guess for getting the bag from Mark Cuban. I mean,
that's the next. We should have that should have been our play. We should have like made a fake like a parody Top Shot and then just like Mark Cuban invests.
I know, damn, I know. Well, I guess the next step is for us to create our own NFT, Sean. I mean, I know we're against this, but also, what if Mark Cuban gave us like, a lot of money?
Just an announcement. This is an announcement. Some personal news. Our podcast, in addition to being available on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, anywhere else that you can get podcasts for free, on our Patreon, I'm going to do this when I get off the air. I'm going to make a Patreon tier where it's $150,000.
Yeah.
And you get an NFT of the Bulls vs. Blazers episode of your choice.
Yeah, we'll figure out a way.
I don't even know how to make an NFT.
We don't know how to do this yet. But if someone pays us $150,000, we will figure out a way to give you a podcast episode as an NFT somehow. It can't. Anything can be done for. I hope. Actually, I don't want to set us up though for like having to set up an NFT and then it costs like $200,000 and then we end up taking a loss. We want to make sure that this is.
And then it turns out that like we actually like us making an NFT of a podcast episode like directly contributes to like the Earth's atmosphere getting
worse,
2 degrees hotter.
Yeah,
or some shit.
Exactly. We need to figure out a way to turn an NFT, which I think is impossible, into like just giving money to people who need it somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
And also us who need it.
Yes. People who need it it's just like, do you remember the Simpsons episode where like they were at, or like Lisa was touring the factory where they make these like children's toys that everybody wanted, and the woman who was giving her the tour was like, these toys were designed by children for children, with the profits going to children. And Lisa's like, really? And she was like, well, we're all somebody's children. So
yeah, I mean, exactly. Shout out to our family.
Shout out to the family. We will be back probably later this week with a family episode, maybe like after the play-in or something. We'll be back soon.
Yeah, when everything is solidified.
Yeah, shout out to the family.